Hello, you rock and rollers. How are you? Today I'm talking once more about the tipping point and about where we might be, according to the emissaries. I'll tell you all about it on the other side. So the emissaries have told me that mankind has never been at a better place in this particular timeline than what we are right now. They said that we are at a point where we're moving, we're in flow, we're starting to think as one in a very similar kind of thought process. And that's giving us a lot of power. And they said the baddies know that. They see what's happening, that we're starting to get beyond the tipping point. Remember, it was a few years ago that the emissaries were talking about the point that we were nearly at the tipping point where everything, and they used the analogy of water, and how because we weren't on the level, there was no movement. It looked like nothing was happening. And then later on they said, well, we've hit the level now, and so everything's starting to flow. And now they're saying that we're at the tipping point, where once we're at the tipping point, this wave is going to go whooshing, whooshing. And so what they mean is that we are becoming the majority. We're becoming, and the US elections have shown that. And that doesn't mean that we're all in the same place, because the journey of awakening is massive. It's massive. And, we haven't reached the end of that. We even for those who've been awake for a long while, we haven't completed the process. We're in the process. However, there's a lot of us in this process now. And they were saying that the baddies have known that, and they're shitting themselves. That was my words, not the emissaries' words. They wouldn't say something like that. But they were saying they know that the situation's becoming dangerous because, and they told me something which I thought was really interesting. They said the baddies have always, ever since they've had the ability to manipulate mankind, they have always aimed to get 50-50. Half and half, pitted against one another. And said, why? They said, what happens is, when you've got more or less 50-50, those two energies are battling against each other and they cancel each other out. It's like a positive and a negative cancelled. And so there's nothing left. There is no energy left over to do anything. So they just cancel themselves out. And if we look at everything that they show us, even in the US elections, when they were showing you the polls, which were a lie, what did they show you? 49, 50, always half and half. If you think about Brexit, 51-49. It's like nothing good was ever going to come of that, because there wasn't the consensus, or so they said. I mean, God knows what the truth of all of that was. I personally, I don't think that there's been a free and fair thing of voting for a long time. I really don't think so. I think they manipulated everything. But they always go for this 50-50. And they always go for the opposite sides so that they cancel themselves out. Christian, Muslim, black and white, pro-choice, pro-life. It's like they always want half and half. And what the emissaries were saying was that's disappearing. And they're seeing that the majority of people now are pushing against them, okay? And that we're starting to reach what this wonderful word, which is consensus. And that consensus is going to be what's going to change everything. Everything is going to shift. What I find interesting about what I see happening, and I know this is very 3D, but regardless, we live in 3D. So we've got to be interested. There's no point in denying 3D. So since the US election, just with the thought that the vast majority of people are going to get what they want for a change. Okay? Whether it's really what they want or it's what they think they want, doesn't matter. What's happened? All of the markets are going shooting through the roof. The pharmaceutical stocks are going through the floor. All of these things are changing. And the guy hasn't even started his reign as president. And all of these things are changing. And I think that's the place that we're in now. We're in this very volatile time of change, where based on the consensus and all of that energy, what they were saying was that the emissaries, imagine 50-50 cancelled, 70-30, suddenly the 30 gets cancelled and there's still 40 left over. And what's the 40 going to do? It's going to start creating, it's going to start moving. And that's where we are. That's what we're seeing right now, is that more and more people, it's happening here in Spain. You know, the Dana, they call it, in Valencia, the storm. The lies, the corruption, the political games that have been played whilst people were suffering and dying have woken up a massive swathe of Spanish people. And God, about time. It's taken ages. They put up with all kinds of shit. But there's something about this that the people have seen, that politics here in Spain is only about politics. And they have absolutely no interest in people. We knew that. We've known that for a while. But the Spanish people are starting to wake up. And I'm seeing this across many of the Western countries that have had this horrible influence that we've had. The president of Spain, the president's wife or husband, depends on how you look at it, his brother or the wife's brother, God knows, parents are all being indicted. They're all in court. What for? For corruption. For making a killing from the vid, selling products. Well, we had that in the UK as well. Favours for mates and oh my God, it's an absolute mess. And the Spanish people have just frankly had enough, and they're starting to wake up to it. And even people in mainstream are starting to talk about it and saying it's completely unacceptable. So we're in this shift. We're in a beautiful shift. And we've got the consensus. We're getting the consensus. And remember, what happens is this, right? There's a big percentage of the population that are sheep. And I don't mean that in a negative way. They just follow. They don't really know what they should think. They say, well, if the vast majority of people think that, then I'll think that as well. It's just the way that people are. Bless them. It's the way that people are. Once the consensus is gained, then all of those sheeple will just bolt themselves. That's what's happening. They're just bolting themselves onto this movement. The same will happen in the US. You know, even now I'm hearing such a lot of people who are Democrats starting to say, well, actually, this is what the people want. So maybe we've been wrong, and maybe we didn't listen to what the people wanted. And so they just join on because that's what they do, because they've got no kind of foundation. They just float around. The floaters that are there on top of the drink. So that's where we are. I don't know what you think. I don't know how you see it, but I see us in a very good place, and the emissaries are very much on board with that we are tipping. Where will it lead us to? Will it be a smooth ride? Ooh, I don't know, and I don't think so. You know, the people, the powers that be, don't want to lose what they've got, and so they're going to put up a fight, of course. However, it's going to become more and more difficult for them because they don't have the resources, the energetic resources, to do it. Happy days, eh? Happy days. Anyway, I love you all. I look forward to your comments, and I'll see you soon.